I ain't too sure of the etiquette situation here. I enjoyed the video, thank you. I would have to make notes to fully react to it. It's respond, isn't it, not react? Is that different? Possibly. And that would offend my muse, Socrates. Though I need to research some clarification. I was informed that Socrates did not write things down from the perspective of to write things down would be to limit and worse in my own understandings of that such a perspective. Yet a history channel on YouTube, a history channel, stated he did not write it down because he could not write or read. And spurious claim, if you ask me. And even if he had Plato believing he could not read or write, I would myself wonder, was he not testing Plato? Though if he was, then that would suggest lacking self-responsibility, in that he would know then that Plato would write the details down, and therefore abdicating his self-responsibility with manipulation, in that if he knew Plato would write it down, he should have written it down himself and accepted responsibility for his realisation that he knew things should not be written down, which is why he did not write them down. The video wasn't about Socrates. Thought is incoherent. My mother told me to get a bag of fudge for you from the cupboard, though I did not, as I had already eaten it myself. Mother obviously hadn't realised this. If I hadn't eaten it then, I would have eaten it on the way to school. While she might have believed bringing an apple for teacher was a beneficial action, I disagree with Mother on that, though that is not to say that I do not respect my mother, as I understand that even the things that she does to me that I abhor, even, I have realised that even if she does not realise herself that they are and were necessary for my own development. Incoherent, set of speech or writing not expressed clearly or logically, difficult to understand and follow. Maybe not. You said it in different words very early on in the video. In fact, I almost reached for the pen at that point. Though having made a video that advised me to reflect carefully on my interaction with I was going to say teacher, though it's not teacher, is it? It's the professor. There's another word for it, I can't remember it, and video time's limited. I said other person unable to speak clearly and logically. Yes. Gossip. That is an adjective. As a noun, being incoherent. Incoherent. Oh, I see. It's not incoherent. That's incoherent. Lovely word. Incoherent. Herent. Inherent. I use the word inherent often these days, just to sort of expound the reason why we are where we are at. Let's see if I can remember anything else you mentioned. Like you said, it was a Sunday video. I like the responses I watched. Union, that keeps getting moved around, that one though. It's a great piece of work. I like the way it takes my speakers to their limits, yet does not take them any further, and it certainly takes them to its limits, and that is a slogan I have adopted. I got it out of consciousness, in that it came out of the air one day. It begins and ends with the self. You know, I added a addendum onto it as I was getting pushed and pulled in the playground that the world is, as that is the way children are taught, is the way the governments were operating that way as well. Push and pull, they'll push you until you stand and stop them. If you do not stand and stop them, they will continue pushing you and pulling you, perhaps. I don't know about pulling. They definitely push, and they definitely stop if you stand. So it begins and ends with the self came out of consciousness freely. In between, we push and pull ourselves to our limits. Now, that addendum was added on to the end as I was getting pushed and pulled by those I was interacting with, and I do not need to be pushed and pulled. I can push and pull myself very well. Thank you. This mind you mentioned, the problem, it's not the right word, what needs considering here is the amount of deception each thinks, not only of themselves, though as most people deceive themselves in one way or another. Denial, how much deception is considered in even in what would be considered loving ways. Or I won't tell the man he's about to die, because he's about to die, and therefore I will sympathetically pretend to him that he has long to live. That is in itself, in my rationale, abuse, sick. A man's going to die and you're going to lie to him on his deathbed. I mean, if there's any time you're going to be honest with a man is when you can't be honest with him any longer. And the point being that within the mind, within the unified field, within consciousness, contains so much deception that is the problem, if there is a problem, beyond it existing as entity, the mind. I'm going to end it there because I don't need a reason. I'm just ending it. I like the word it. It is a pronoun.